Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Power BI Quiz Show, the Christmas edition. Please say welcome to Meagan.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the show, Meagan.
Thank you.
And today the topic is accessibility.
Accessibility.
Yeah, and why so?
Because I think it's something that we often overlook in Power BI and low-code tools in general. We think of ourselves maybe sometimes as not a coder, and so maybe it doesn't apply to us, but it's so critical because the entire point of data viz is that we're making data accessible to people, making it easier to understand. And if we really think that, then accessibility should be part of our practices.
Yeah, so you have created a quiz for us with 10 questions around this topic. And I'm really, really thankful for you to take time off. It's Sunday around noon. And thank you very much for creating the quiz and also being the quiz master today. I've really been looking forward to this quiz and this topic, especially because it's a topic that I don't, as you say, I'm one of those that not paying so much attention on this. So that's also why I wanted to have a quiz on it, because it is indeed a very topic that should be put in. Many people should take attention to this topic. So thank you very much for taking the time and doing the quiz. And first here, we should pick the raffle winner for the quiz from the last week. So here we have a list of all the people that attended last week. So we can see here, Amadeo won the quiz, and we had Roy and Tony, and we had 3 people answering 7 out of 10 correct. And it was a tough quiz last week. Now we will see how the quiz will be this week. But first, let's pick the raffle winner. So I have assigned, or Power BI with the DAX function have assigned a random index number to everyone. So will you have the honor of picking one of the numbers here from 1 to 39?
Let's go with 33.
33 it is. Let's see here. And that is ET. I say it's a random number, but actually ET was also ranked 33 last week. I assure you this is a coincidence. It is a random number. But congratulations for ET for winning, and the raffle prize for last week was 1 month free access to Pluralsight, where there's a lot of content on Power BI and other stuff. So talking about this, let's have a look at the prizes. So for the winner of the quiz, we have a $100 gift card to lego.com. And then also for this week, the raffle prize is 1 month full access to Pluralsight. So let's have a look at, this is lego.com. This is just some of the things you can buy for around $100. So there's a lot of things, and you can buy something for yourself, or for your little ones, or for a friend, or for your mom, or for Christmas. You can have so there's a lot of things to take in here. And here we have the Pluralsight, and just took out here a search on Power BI. So here you can see there's a lot of content in here on Power BI, and the raffle winner will get 1 month free access to this site here, and see how many things you can accommodate and take for that month. So let's get into the Kahoot. So the Kahoot, when we started, you will see the questions here on your monitor on the YouTube stream, and then you will go to kahoot.it on your mobile device or a secondary screen, because that's where you will answer. And then you will get a pin code I will show it to you shortly. Put it in when you visit kahoot.it, and also put in your nickname. You can use your full name or Twitter handle, something, so we can find you. As you saw now, we had one raffle winner that was called ET. So hopefully ET is around today, because it could be a little hard for me to find a person called ET. Pick your nickname so we can find you at the raffle next week if you're not participating. And please also be aware that we have a 3 to 5 seconds delay, so that actually means that you will wait for the question to show up on your mobile device. And that also means, on the other hand, that you have 3 to 5 seconds lesser to answer. And we will have 11 questions today. And the first one, there's no point, just to get you all started. And then we have 10 real questions that is awarded points. That is all 11 questions is coming from Meagan. And the faster you answer, the more points. And also please be aware that we will post all the results publicly. Because as you will see here, we have a website, powerbiquiz.com, and down here you can actually go in and then see all the results from former quizzes, and also this quiz results will be put in here. Yeah. So let's get started with the quiz. So hopefully you're all ready. So now the game pin will come up and you can join. So we have Amadeo joining in, the winner from last week. And a lot of other people coming in. So 18 people have joined the quiz so far. And please
Nice.
join in. Just come in, participate. And we have Roy also joining in. Roy is the quizmaster of the last show of this season, and he was actually second last week. And a lot of other people here. Some familiar names and also some new names. So welcome everyone. I will start the quiz now, and then the pin will be at the top or maybe at the bottom so that you can also join later if you have some technical difficulties. But let's get started here with the first question that is not awarded points.
All right, so I threw this one in there just for fun, but if you break your pointer finger and you cannot use it to type for 6 weeks, what kind of disability is that?
And as you see here, you have 30 seconds to answer this one. And I believe most of the questions today, you have 30 seconds for them. So.
All right, most people got it right.
Perfect.
The reason I like to put this question out there is because a lot of times when we design, we think about people who are permanently disabled, like a blind person. But people with disabilities, it can be temporary or situational. So a temporary disability would be, you broke your finger, but it's going to get better. But I still want to design for someone who just temporarily cannot use their finger to type. Or situational can even be things like, and we don't like to call them disabilities, but they end up being helped by the same kind of concept. If you're in an airport and you're, running through, but you're trying to look up some data as you get to your gate, how would I design to help you do that? And that's typically the kind of thing we mean by situational. Or if you have a kid at home and you need to work while you're holding your child, that can also be situational because you cannot use your hands in the same way you would if your child were not with you.
Oh.
So think about that the next time you design something.
Yeah, thank you. So there wasn't awarded any points at this question. So yeah, you all have 0. So let's get started with the next question that you will get some points of.
So what should you do so that a report user who doesn't use a mouse can navigate the visuals on a page in a logical order? Should you set the layer order, set the tab order, set the alt text, or set the header tooltip?
5 seconds left.
All right, most of you know about tab order. That makes me very happy. That is one of the easiest things you can do on your report to add some enhancements for accessibility. If you think about anyone who doesn't use a mouse, whether that's someone using a screen reader because they're low vision, or someone who has a medical condition that makes their hands kind of shaky where they can't do fine motor skills to point and click at things, so they prefer to use a keyboard. If you set the tab order, when they hit the tab key, it'll actually go through the visuals in the same order that we would look at them, which is really helpful because otherwise it'll just bounce all over your screen as you hit tab.
Oh, yeah, and has this feature been around for a long time, or?
Yes, it has been around for years.
So we don't have any excuse to not use it.
Exactly.
Let's see the leaderboard. And this is just a matter of how quick your answer. So we have Power BI on top. Let's have the next one.
All right, what is the minimum color contrast you should have for text to background with a 12-point font? And this is according to WCAG standards. Is it 4.5 to 1, 3 to 1, 21 to 1, or 2 to 1? So font to background color contrast. All right, a little more divided this time. This is probably the biggest mistake I see people make in their reports, is they don't think about color contrast. Color contrast can help us make sure that we can read text. Do you ever see someone put like a giant image or something crazy in the background of a report, and then you can't read all the stuff that you're trying to read? It was nice and decorative, but not very effective because no one can read it. So there are standards that have been set, and they're actually worldwide standards. So the same in Denmark as the US, that if you have font, the background compared to the font should have a color contrast of 4.5 to 1, which would make it very readable.
Oh, yeah, nice to know that. And anything you can, in Power BI, can you see, how do you find out how the color contrast is?
There is no tool currently in Power BI to tell you, but I download a desktop tool called Color Contrast Analyzer, and it has the little eyedropper thing, so I can just hover over things and sample the color, and then it'll tell me right away what my color contrast is, and it even keeps the rules in there so that it'll say, hey, this color contrast is appropriate for only large text, or non-text objects have a rule for 3 to 1. And so it'll say, oh, this might be okay for a bar in a bar chart, but not for text.
Oh, nice. Thank you for that tip. Let's see the leaderboard now. And we have Nicola on top. Still very, very close. Oh, next one here.
All right. After selecting a visual, what keyboard combination will show the visual as a screen reader friendly table? Is it Control H, Control Space, Control Shift C, or Alt Shift F11? This one's a little harder if you don't use the keyboard shortcut. Got to throw a couple hard ones in there.
But an important one.
All right, some people are quick at either sampling or looking it up real quick online.
It could be, yeah.
So there are actually two kinds of tables. If we think about what we do when we want to see the table of data behind a visual, we go to the ellipsis menu and we say show data. If you do Alt-Shift-F11, it shows the same table, but in a screen reader friendly format. It's nicely formatted in HTML with all the ARIA tags and all that stuff. So you can actually build and consume reports without ever using a mouse. And if you open up Power BI Desktop, or for that matter, powerbi.com, and you hit tab a bunch of times or shift question mark, if you hit shift question mark, it'll actually show you the whole menu of all the keyboard shortcuts. You can go into every visual and select like a dot in a scatter plot to cross filter. All that's available to you. So don't forget your keyboard users that want to consume your report.
Yeah, and then you can use Alt-Shift-F11 just to verify that it can be read, I believe.
Yep.
Thank you. So let's see the leaderboard now. Now we have Victor Lozano on top, but still very close here in the top. So let's go to the next question.
All right. So here's a table made in Power BI, and you have to decide what changes you could make to the visual to make it more accessible.
Yeah, this is a multi-select. That means that you have to press submit when you have selected your answers. And you have 1 minute, so you have plenty of time to see the visual and make your answers. And you don't know when it's a multiple choice if there's 1, 2, 3, or all 4 of them correct.
All right, so the answer was all of the above. We, especially in tech circles, we tend to use a lot of abbreviations. So anytime you can, abbreviations. So like that time we had CY sales, which would be current year sales by product. But that's confusing for people who may have challenges reading, as well as people who don't speak the language of the report as their first language. Like that's really common where I live to say CY, but is it really common where you live? Maybe not. Is somebody on their first day of work who's overwhelmed by all the new things going to know exactly what CY sales means? Or should you help them out and say current year sales in dollars, in US dollars, and let them know that? Should you say rev or revenue? And then we can use icons instead of a text color. Anytime you do that conditional formatting in Power BI, if you choose background color or foreground color, you're excluding people who can't see the differences in those colors, whether they have no vision, low vision, or some kind of color vision deficiency. If you put an icon there instead of just using color, you can still use the color. I'm not going to tell you to not use color. That's a very important part of data viz. But if you just add another way to encode that same information, you make it so much more accessible to all different types of users. And then I will basically always tell you to increase your color contrast because it's probably low and everybody makes that mistake. I don't remember what the fourth one was. Oh, label columns with more specificity and clarity. So axis labels, column headers, let people know exactly what it is that they're getting into. If it's difficult for someone to read a chart, the better titles and labels you have, the more information they get up front, and they can decide if it's actually worth the effort to analyze the chart in more detail.
Yeah, so some of the things you will hear is also just good practice for everyone.
Yes. In general, making things more accessible makes it more usable for a whole lot of people that we do not consider disabled. So if you adopt these habits, you'll actually have more usable reports for your users that don't have a diagnosed disability.
Yeah, so here you could answer all 4 correctly and then get a lot of points. But you could also play safe and maybe get lesser points. So yeah, this is the scoreboard now.
Victor pulling ahead.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But we have a lot of questions left, so Here you get double points.
All right, you're going to see a picture of a button. It's fairly new in the last few months. What does that button do in Power BI Desktop? Does it set the tab order based on Y and then X coordinates? Set the tab order based on X and then Y coordinates? Set the layer order based on X and then Y? Or set the layer order based on Y and then X?
Oh.
Oh, people don't know about this one yet. So they added this 2 or 3 months ago. I can't remember now. If you click that button, it will align by Y and then X, which is basically the Z pattern most Western cultures read in. So if you have something in the top left corner, that's going to be the first item. If you have something in the top right corner and nothing else in between, that would be the second item. And then if you have like 3 rows, the middle row would come next left to right, and the bottom row would come next left to right. So the bottom right is the last object. And it just takes the click of a button and it will align it this way. And I would guess that 75% of reports, this is the correct tab order. So if you will just go to tab order and click the little button, it will be automatically more accessible for most people.
Yeah, I believe this is something, a really great new feature that is easy for people to use. At least most people knew about the tab order, just not what axis was first. So yeah, only 8 people answered this correctly, so let's see what that made changes. So Victor's still on the lead. We have Shalinda climbing up also, but still very close. So let's have the next one. Here you have multi-select again.
Yeah. So this is about alt text that's read by screen readers. What should you put in the alt text box for a Power BI visual? Should you include the chart type, the legends and axis labels, the DAX measures, or descriptions of trends, important data points, or statistical content? And it's multi-select, so there could be 1, 2, 3, or 4 correct answers.
Yeah, so
I gave you a little more time on this one.
So you can play safe or you can gamble. And it's really hard because you don't know if there's 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them correct. And last time all 4 was correct. Maybe it's today again, maybe not. So
all right. So most people got the main point of descriptions of trends, important data points, or statistical content. I'll tell you about the others. When a screen reader reads a Power BI visual, it automatically reads the chart type and the chart title. So if you put a title on your chart and then it is a clustered column chart, it will say title of chart, clustered column chart. So you don't actually have to put that in the alt text box because Power BI is sending it to the screen reader for you. Legends and axis labels, sometimes there are a lot of them, so you don't want it to be overwhelming, but more than that, people can use screen readers and keyboards to navigate every single item in the visual. They can go to the legend and read each thing themselves. So that's not what we want for our alt text here. What we want is a description of trends and important data points so that they can understand what the chart is trying to tell them and then decide if it's worth it to go examine the individual data points. You can also use DAX measures in your alt text. So if the point of the chart is, values are trending up, you can actually write DAX to say that in the alt text.
oh.
But I'll tell you, there's a study that just came out that was pretty interesting. I want to say it came from MIT, where they asked sighted people and non-sighted people what they want in the alt text for visualization. And the sighted people wanted kind of the conclusions, the like, what's the takeaway, the so what. But the people that had low or no vision actually wanted you to just describe the trend or the data point and not go as far as the conclusion. And it has to do with kind of control and their ability to figure out their own conclusion. They don't want you to limit them that way. They will do it by reading the data just like we do. So you can say, month over month sales continues to increase, but you don't want to draw a full conclusion from it and put that in the alt text for them according to the study. They want to form that the same way we would if we looked at it.
Wow. Nice. Thank you for the description of all this. It's really, really helpful. I'm also learning a lot.
Good.
So let's see here. If people gamble or played safe, there was a lot that was answering both red and yellow. So if you have done that, you wouldn't get any points. So let's see. So we still have Victor on lead, but Kiara is also coming up, and Antonio and Nexus and Power Bila that was in front at first is also on top 5 now. Let's have the next one.
Another multi-select. Why do organizations choose to make their Power BI reports accessible? Is it to improve the lives and productivity of people with disabilities? Is it to capitalize on a wider audience or consumer base? Is it to avoid lawsuits and bad press? Or is it to improve usability through the curb cut effect? You can choose 1, 2, 3, or 4 options. Looks like people are pretty quick on this one.
Oh yeah. So let's see if they are answering correctly also. So 5 seconds left.
It is all of the above. These are common reasons for web accessibility in general. If you have employees or partners or customers with disability, and you could do things like set tab order or use good color contrast, and it really doesn't take any more effort than the way you normally make a report, I firmly believe you should do that. So there's kind of an altruistic motive or a productivity motive even there. If you can help people work faster, that's great. Capitalizing on a wider audience or consumer base. I've actually had people contact me about accessible Power BI reports as they were evaluating technologies. Like, do they want Tableau or Looker or Power BI? Which one can help them make sure that their entire user base, especially a lot of government and education institutions think this way, but people with products. I have clients with products that that need to make sure that their reports work for lots and lots of people. I've yet to see a lawsuit about a Power BI report, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility. Power BI reports get published to the web, and people do sue over inaccessible websites. And then the curb cut effect, if you've never heard that term, is the idea about curbs on a sidewalk where it kind of slants down to the road so that people in wheelchairs originally could go across the road and back up onto the curb easily. But it also helps parents pushing strollers, people riding skateboards, people, city workers pushing carts down the sidewalk. Just that one thing that was originally meant to be an accessibility enhancement for wheelchair users helps so many people. And that is the curb cut effect. So like I said earlier, when we improve accessibility, we often improve general usability.
Yeah. So yeah, all 4 of them is correct, and most people had them also. Not so many on the lawsuit and bad press, but yeah, as you said, you haven't seen it yet, but it could come. So We wanted to make your report accessible all for that reason, especially if you're publishing to the web, I believe. So,
yeah, think of all the COVID reports right now. Those need to be accessible and people really can sue. And I've seen a bunch of them made in Power BI.
wow. So let's see the leaderboard here before we have the last 2 questions or 3 questions.
Victor has been dethroned.
Oh yeah. But still a lot of points left, so keep in. Let's have the next one.
All right. According to the World Health Organization and World Bank, what percentage of people worldwide have a disability? Any kind of disability? Is it 2%, 15%, 30%, or 50%?
Yeah, so how many percent are you actually helping when you make your Power BI reports more accessible?
$15. Some of you got it right. Some of you estimated a little higher. In the United States, there is a statistic that close to 30% of white-collar workers have a disability of some type, but a lot of them are the invisible disabilities that we can't see. So it could be like dyslexia, you wouldn't know unless they told you, or color vision deficiency, color blindness. Unless they tell you, you might not know. But even at 15%, that's across the world. So, remote villages, large cities, every continent, that's millions and millions of people. So if you're making reports, especially for the general public, please remember this. The last thing you want is to make a data viz and then have everyone get frustrated at it.
Oh yeah. So let's take a look, see. And it didn't change so much here. Still, these 5 people are on top. Now we have the last 2 questions. So question number 10.
All right. What feature is supported by HighChart's charting library and should be supported by Power BI in the future? Is it keyboard navigation and interaction within visuals, responsiveness, or sonification? And if you follow me on Twitter, there was a hint earlier this week. Oh, we're split. 11 of you got it right. So this one was admittedly a little obscure, but put in there purposely. So you can all go vote for my idea on ideas.powerbi.com to add data sonification to Power BI. Data sonification is literally turning data into sound. So there are websites like Two Tone, and they take charts and they map values to different pitches. So the higher the value, the higher the pitch. And that can be really useful for a few different things. If you have a lot of things going on, it's often hard to see because charts get really busy, but sometimes we can pick it out when we hear. Think about if you listen to like orchestral music and you can hear all the different parts going on. You can sometimes pick out, that one low, really cool bass line from the trombones or the super high piccolo line, as well as all the other stuff. So it can help us identify outliers pretty well. It helps definitely low vision people that would have trouble reading, but it's also kind of fun. It's a new way to experience data. Lots of data journalists are doing this. There are podcasts about data sonification. Like, it's becoming a real thing. It's just not made it into low code tools yet. And I think Power BI should be the first. There are already libraries, JavaScript libraries that do that. So HighCharts is a charting library. Power BI uses D3, but I hear rumors that they've experimented with this feature. There's JavaScript libraries that can automatically convert your data to sound that they could add. So you could make a custom visual with data sonification. but I'm really hoping that they will add it just to every visual by default.
Yeah, sounds like I believe when it will be enabled at some point, people will also use it to create some fun.
I'm sure they'll create monstrosities with it too, but we create visual monstrosities. We might as well expand into other senses.
So let's have a look at the leaderboard before the last questions. And here we have Victor Lozano on top again. So yeah, we have 2,000 points between the first 5 on the scoreboard here. So let's see the next question, the last one, and then we have the winner.
All right. This is a general accessibility question. What does WCAG stand for as it relates to data visualization? Is it Web Content Authoring Guidelines, World Class Automotive Group, Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, or World Class Accessibility Goals?
So
almost everybody got it right. I don't expect people to necessarily nerd out on accessibility stuff like I do, but I think it's important to be aware of WCAG because it does govern websites. And in the United States, anything that is paid for by the federal government, which includes all public educational institutions here, anything that is like a local city government because they get federal government funding, they actually are supposed to follow WCAG guidelines. Anything that gets produced for the public should have those. And that's how I put together my initial presentations on accessibility in Power BI as I went through the guidelines and figured out how they apply to us. So our earlier question about how do we make this more accessible? Well, add icons instead of color. Those are all WCAG guidelines. They tell you to do that.
oh,
They're written in such a way that it's usually about like applications or websites, but Power BI is an application or a website when people are using it to get the information they need.
yeah. So and we are, you have read it and then we learn from you. So thank you for that. Let's see how it all ends. So here at the podium, on a third place, we have Nexus. Congratulations. On a second place, Kiran. And who can it be? On the first place, we have Victor. So congratulations, Victor, for winning the Kahoot Quiz and the $100 gift card to lego.com with 9 out of 11 questions right. So thank you once again, Meagan, for taking time out here on a Sunday. We can see the daylight is coming into you because it's noon your place here in Denmark. It's 8 p.m. or nearly 9 p.m. in the afternoon. So yeah, and thank you for everyone for joining in on the quiz. I hope you learned something or at least had some fun here. And next week we will continue the Power BI quiz where we have Kristen coming in and learning us all something about aggregations. That is absolutely a more technical topic than the one we had today. So that's the plan for next week. So yeah, thank you very much once again, Meagan, for making this quiz. And as I told you before, I really also learned a lot on this very important topic. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So bye-bye, everyone. Have a nice day.